All right. Good little jam. Um, yeah, got some new stuff. And some, I guess some questions about what to do next. All right. Actually, one of the new things wasn't even shown in that little demo jam there. But it's cool. I'll show it in just a second. But let's start with probably the most noticeable thing, which is the new pick. So just a way to like decorate your projects a little bit with like these cool images. It's a little buggy right now. I'm gonna fix it up a bit before I push this update out. But it's basically this is a resizable window, so you can position it and also resize it. And what you do is you double click on it and you can put a link in here. So here's one of the links from that little jam there from GIF Cities, which is a cool place to find like these old GIFs that were on. I want to say NeoCities, GeoCities. That was the old one. NeoCities is the new one. Yeah, so you put it in, and when you head back, as you can see, there's our GIF. We got a couple of different options here. One of them is we can lock the aspect ratio, so it will keep it at whatever the original aspect ratio was at, except for that bug. Or you can make it free, and you can like squish it around. And it's not just GIFs. You can put images in this, of course. GIFs look a little more interactive. And as you probably saw, if you have a transparent image, which I don't think I have on hand, let me get one. Okay, I think this is a transparent GIF. Images too, so PNG as well. Yeah, let's see. So you can see it has a white background, but if we turn off the frame, so see now it's transparent. So if any transparency like leaks through, basically, as well as the frame being gone. So this is more like a decoration, which is pretty cool. I don't what is this GIF? It's like is that like a window or something? I don't know what this is. I have no idea what this GIF is, but it's cool and it's transparent. And then we can just reset the size. So this is the size of the it'll reset to whatever the original size of the GIF was. Again, this is or image or whatever. This is a little bit buggy, so I'm gonna try and fix it. It's kind of hard to like calculate an aspect ratio and like retain it, and then also allow resizing because you get like these fractional values. But yeah, so we can duplicate it a bunch of times. You can add like a bunch of them. Yeah, all right. So music-wise, there's two new effects, right? Yeah, two new effects. So let's bust out. Let's do two at once and do we'll do bokeh because I think that'll do it best. Do it just as best here. Bring down the master volume a little bit. Okay, so the first one's called crsh. It's based on this plugin called cruncher by BlepFX. Pretty cool. I really like the interface for this one. This has like a visualizer in the center. I think I'm gonna try and add that to mine as well. But this is a really interesting bring that down. This is an interesting effect. I didn't know this was a thing. So apparently, and they describe it here somewhere. Yeah, so it modulates a small fractional delay line at an audio rate at high frequency, or at like a high frequency, running at the audio rate, and it results in a bit crush erosion sort of effect. If you've used erosion in Ableton, and I was like, what? How does that make any sense? And I listened to the demos, so this is it with it off and then on. And I was like, that is a bit crush. Oh, I didn't know this was like I I didn't know this was another way to like bit crush stuff, but I guess it makes sense since you're skipping samples, so I guess it kind of is similar to a bit crush. I'm not 100% sure how the effect works. Something with like side bands or like it's an imitation of it. Anyways, like so the idea is that like there's a very short delay line. I think mine is 64 samples long. And then you read from a playhead that's like 32 samples behind, and then you modulate where that playhead is reading from with a modulator, to create like this effect basically, and it's running at the audio rate. So yeah, it was much easier to implement than I thought it was going to be, and it sounds pretty cool. So let's check it out. Here's another cool new feature, just a quality of life thing. If you hold shift and click a connection, it will make that like a solo connection instead of like enabling them both like it normally does. So you can just quickly like switch to only one connection, which is nice. So you can kind of already hear it. Sounds bit crushy. It's so interesting how this effect works. Let's move this around. This is the new XY pad UI element. So you can drag this around. So the x-axis is the frequency, and the y-axis is like the modulation amount. You can kind of think of this as like dry wet, I guess. So it gets more intense at the top here. You can really hear it. So right now we're in sine wave mode, but there's also noise mode. There's triangle, an upward phaser, downward phaser, and then a square, which comes with its own duty cycle. Pretty cool. And we can up the width to get like the stereo effect. Oh, let me try this as a mono input. Right, oh, because that was already spread, so... Oh yeah, there it is. So, no width, full width. Yeah, I forgot this thing already has spread turned on in it, so it's like already full stereo, and it's like, you can't really hear a difference. But this widens the sound if you have like more of a mono sound. Drum loop would probably also work for that. Okay, so you can also control the cursor from these mini numbers down here, and you can modulate these, of course. So this is fun to put like random on it, moving really fast. Pretty cool. And then this is just a bypass, so on and off. I mean, this is the same as like switching this to 0, but just nice to have. Especially for like LFO and stuff. Okay, so that is the first effect. Let's check out the next effect, which is called slush. This one is like kind of like a phaser sort of thing. Ooh, I need to add hints to this before I release. That's another thing. So let's hear this one out. You know what? We can have crsh on for this. It might sound cool. Nice and subtle. Not super subtle, but... Alright, let's plug into slush here. You can already hear it. There's like a... sort of like a phasing effect going on. And we can sync it to the BPM, so let's make it super fast. Pretty cool. Sounds good on like drums and stuff too. Actually, I have a demo project for that. But before I show that, just mix and then free time, so you can do it with hertz instead of instead of sync. Alright, so here's that slush demo. You can kind of hear the drums and the vocals. It kind of gives it like a dreamy sound. Pretty cool. And you'll be able to access these project files by like kind of rolling with the demo project button here. You can see I just rolled the one from the beginning of this video. Cool. Alright. Alright, I think that's all the new stuff. I mean, there's been changes in the background and whatnot. Slush, pick, and crsh. Yeah, those are new ones. Okay, cool. So, alright, let's take a look at feedback here. See what we got. Yes, this is the most voted one. So add BPM sync rate. Yeah. Sequencer step numbers. Oh, menu bar items are hard to read. Yeah, could increase the font of those. That might be good. Actually, okay, so there's two big crossroads kind of in this next update, and that's going to be how time is going to work in the future, and how time is going to work, and how the menu thing up here is going to work. Because it's reached the point where with this top menu thing, there's so many devices now that it's like on my laptop smaller screen, it's like overflowing. Or it's like about to overflow. So I knocked down the coordinates to this row down here just in case other people have smaller screens while I figure out something to do about that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. I don't know. I don't know what to do about that yet. I have a couple ideas, and one of them includes like creating like a device to like one of these types of windows that's just like for utility purpose, and it like you can use it to like add devices, or keep this up here and maybe make like pages or something like that. I don't know. If you have an idea, definitely drop it here in the feedback widget. But the bigger thing is how time is going to work. Let's do a little demo sort of thing here about how time currently works. It's actually like this. Yeah, let's slow it down. Okay, so behind the scenes, what's happening with time is basically like there's a phaser like this that's like counting up 16 bars, which is why things like bass sec are 16 steps long, and why you can play them for 1 bar each. I believe I'm getting this right, or my terminology right. So yeah, there's a 16 bar phaser, and this is nice and simple, and it works, but it introduces a couple of problems specifically related to steps per. So anything with steps or syncing the rate of the LFO gets a little bit tricky, because the problem is that when you have a 16 bar phaser like that, when it jumps back to the beginning, you can think of that as kind of like looping in a DAW at bar 16. So like everything gets reset, and that it specifically includes in STUT. So this is where you can see it most evident, is selecting the number of steps with length here. So if I set this to 4, we're not going to see any issue, because 16 can be evenly divided by 4. Now if I change this to 5, here, watch this. Do you see that? It did it twice. So let's do 6. See how it stopped at 4 that time? Because it's doing 6 plus 6 plus 4 equals 16, right? Which is how it's supposed to work in a looped setting. If you try that in your DAW, for example, like if you set up a 16 bar loop, and you have step-based things that are following the rules, and LFOs that are synced and that kind of stuff, you'll see they'll jump, or LFOs that are not in a rate of time that's evenly divisible by 16. You'll see jumps. Because to let it keep going would be kind of incorrect, or at least from my naive understanding, it'd be wrong to let it keep going through the 16 bar loop. And by that I mean like not jumping back to correct itself. Like if it just kept ticking along, things get out of phase. And the problem is when you load someone else's project, you want to know that they're hearing the same thing that you're hearing. So that's why this thing resets its phase, so that it's always in time, so that we, like, this phaser tells us where we are in time and we always know. So there's no like guessing, or there's no like syncing, or they're syncing, but you know what I mean? There's no like a reconnaissance or whatever. Is that the word? Reconnaissance? Maybe. But yeah, so that is the trouble. Now I have a couple of fixes for this, but they require not massive refactors, but like there'll be a bit of like funkiness. So the solution to this is to use what most DAWs use, which is let me look this up. All right, so here I am in documentation for something called Juice, which is like if you've ever used like a VST, it's probably made in Juice, because it can interact well with DAWs and stuff. I'm oversimplifying here, but it's like an audio framework kind of. So you can see here, you can get it like a playhead info, and one of those is called PPQ, and this is like the current play position, right, in units of quarter notes. And this is super useful because you know where you are in the timeline, and you know like specifically what beat you're on. I believe this is a double, so it's fractional. So it's like you perfectly know where you are at all times, and it can go on forever. There's no 16 bar, anything like that. So I've messed around with that, and I have a system that works like that, but I ran into a snag, and the snag is that the web audio API does not like, I can't send an audio rate signal that's of this double type, which is like super precise. Can't do that. Web audio API is limited to float 32, which is a loss of precision compared to this. So for example, if I were to run something like this for a certain amount of time, like if you're doing like a live set or something like that, this will start to drift. This, or not this value, not the double one, but the one in my project would start to drift, because the precision gets lost as the number increases. This is a pretty fast increasing number, I'd say, relatively. So it's a bit tricky. Like I have a couple ideas of how to remedy that, and one of them is like there's two signals where one of them is the bar and the other one is the quarter notes, so that way that the quarter notes stay pretty precise, and then like there's pretty much no loss in precision there, and then we have the bar as the grand counter, and then when the quarter notes hits the end of the bar, it resets to keep its like precision instead of like going up continuously. So that's one approach. There's a couple other approaches. I mean, I could set like a time limit or something like that. But you know, if you leave your project running overnight, it should be you know, listenable in the morning, I guess. So I don't know. I'm thinking about it. And so that would allow me to add synced rate to LFO and steps. That would solve both of those issues. Right now, they're possible, but they would be troublesome because the 16 bar loop resets. That's not like a ton of time. It resets pretty quick. So there's if I were to add steps and stuff like that to the LFO, you'd hear it. Especially if you just want things to be like continuous, especially like polyrhythms and stuff. You want them to just keep going. Yeah. So I mean, another bit of good news about the PPQ tick system, whatever method you like use, is that looping is still possible. So by default, I'm going to make it so that projects loop on a 16 bar loop just like they are now. So things are unchanging. But the option to turn that off and let things go wild will also be available and may become the new default. We'll see. But this is a pretty big refactor. So a lot of stuff to change there. But also just like figuring out what to do. So if you have any plugin experience or anything like that and you have some 2 cents, I'd absolutely love to hear it. If you know a good way to keep precision of something running at the audio rate in a float 32 signal, that would be immensely helpful. So yeah, but I definitely plan to do that next, along with some bug fixes. And then, yeah, definitely samples. That would be nice. Some more samples. Oh, this is done. I can set this at, well, I'll set it to done once it's out. Dark mode, selectable backgrounds. Yeah. I'm working on a user settings window that will let you do all those things, and it will like persist, which is pretty cool. Yeah, okay. Bugs. This one I don't think I can fix yet. I think this is a bug with the software that I'm using and not actually something I can do anything about. Set place at the beginning of the, yeah, that one I can fix. This one I can fix. I've just been like so busy adding new stuff. I should prevent tech debt here, and maybe yeah, maybe this next round I'll do bug fixes instead of like adding like 50 new things. Yeah, cool new stuff. I know I just said I want to fix bugs, but I also really want to add like some sort of instrument. Some sort of like melodic instrument would be cool. Cool. All right, so that's the update. Let's take a look at the 3-stage nuclear reactor firework. This is crazy. This is so crazy. I thought this wasn't real at first. Maybe it isn't real, but I was like, how on earth is that legal? Look at this. This is so crazy. That is so insane. Yeah, I mean, you can tell in this video it's like 4th of July or New Year's or something like that. Also, speaking of which, Happy New Year's coming up. But that's so crazy. That's insane that's legal. It looks awesome though. That looks so cool. But if you saw that on like a night that like people weren't setting off a bunch of fireworks, you'd be like, what on earth? Like this part especially where it just like kicks off. That's so crazy. Okay. Yeah, not so much a funny video of the day as it is an interesting video of the day. All right, cool. Yeah.